Everybody, I'd like to start with the first verse on this week's portion. And what I'd really like to talk about is, we'll first start by just talking about the first verse. After we talk about the first verse, then we'll talk about the second verse. And after we talk about the second verse, then we'll talk about a few other verses. But before we talk about the first verse, I really don't even want to get to the first verse before we talk about the first three words. Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh. And it was when Pharaoh sent forth the people. And then the verse continues, V'onacham Elokim derech eretz plishtim, and God did not want, basically, Nacham Elokim, Rashi says, means God did not lead them through the way of the Philistines, Ki Karofu, because that was the close path. Ki Amar Elokim, because God said, Pen yinachem ha'am ve'rotam melchama, lest the people regret when they see a battle, this Shavu Mitzrayim, and then they return to Egypt. So the first point I wanted to discuss is the point that bothers the Midrash. It says, Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh. And it was when Pharaoh sent forth the people. Now we have two problems with these words. First of all, why is the word Vayhi always, well, not always, but often in the Torah connotes something bad? Vayhi b'mei Achashverosh. And it was in the days of Achashverosh. It connotes something bad is going on here. But in this case, what's the bad thing that's going on? And the second problem with this verse is, Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh, when Pharaoh sent them out, wait 1 second, did Pharaoh send them out? Pharaoh didn't send them out, God sent them out. God caused Pharaoh to allow them to leave. Pharaoh didn't send them out. Remember many years ago, before I really knew Rabbi Weiss well, there was the OU, the Orthodox Union, was giving an award to Gorbachev. I think I was a student at YU at the time, and they were honoring, or Yeshiva University was honoring Gorbachev at their Hanukkah dinner. You can look it up. I could be getting it wrong. Maybe somebody was honoring him. And Rabbi Weiss was quoted, and he was protesting that. And he was quoted as saying, giving an award to Gorbachev for letting the Jews go, and he had no choice when he finally let the Jews go, is like giving an award to Pharaoh for letting the children of Israel leave Egypt. But here, the verse seems to give some praise to Pharaoh. So why does it say Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh, when Pharaoh sent forth the people? So I saw many, many answers to this question in the Midrash. The Midrash addresses this question. Midrash suggests 8 or 9 different essays just on this one question. But I want to just focus on 3 approaches of the Midrash. Why does it say Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh? So the first answer that the Midrash says is that we're trying to give a message here. And the Midrash gives a parable. Well, let me try to find it. The Midrash says that it's a mashal amad davar domeh. It's a parable. To what is the matter familiar? To what is the matter comparable? Adam shahayawo pardes, to a man who owned an orchard. Amar lo chavero mechorli et pardes hazeh. His friend said to him, "Sell me this orchard." Mecharo lo b'maneh. So he sold him the orchard for a maneh. But the owner of the orchard had no idea what was in it. Amrlo bekama macharta the pardes. They said, his friend said to him, how much did you sell this orchard for? He said to them, b'mana, for 100. They said to him, this orchard has olives that are worth 100 mana. It has grapevines that are worth 100 mana. It has pomegranates that are worth 100 mana. It has spices in it. Each one of them is worth 100 mana. And you sold it for only 100 mana? Amrlo, they said to him, they said, don't you know what you sold and what was in this orchard? It had beautiful pomegranates, luscious fruit, saffron. Even if this garden only had springs in it, he still would have made money. You still would have lost money on this sale. And the Midrash says, Kacha ya Pharaoh, kishalachat Yisrael, lo hayu lefanav klum. When Pharaoh sent them out, when Pharaoh sent off the Jewish people, he thought they were worthless. He sent them off for nothing. The people of Israel said to him, the people around him said to him, Ma asita. His advisor said to him, what have you done? If they only had the spoils that they took from their neighbors, that would have been sufficient. That would have been sufficient. But they also went up with a lot of cattle. Not only that, the Midrash states, Kama Ashirim Ayubahim, they had many wealthy people amongst them. Kama Chachamim, there are many scholars and craftsmen, entrepreneurs, inventors, scientists. Look how many men, women, and children were there that you sent out. But Osa Sha'ah, at that moment, Pharaoh began to cry out, Voi, voi, woe is to me, as it states, Vayehi Beshalach. When Pharaoh sent him out, he started to cry. And he said, woe to me that I sent him out. Basically, Pharaoh was saying, woe is to me for sending them out. So according to the first approach, why does it say Vayhi Beshalach? It's saying that Pharaoh has, first of all, it's saying not that Pharaoh sent them out, but Pharaoh was crying because he had sent them out. He didn't appreciate their value. He didn't realize the value of the Jews of the Israelites until he kicked them out. He saw them as slaves. He saw them as just people who were supporting him and they're easily replaceable. But once they were out, then he started to realize the consequences of this tremendous mistake that in his mind, in the advisor's mind he had made, and he let these people leave, or maybe that he kicked them out. Another way of reading this portion is that Pharaoh expelled the Jewish people, like we were expelled from so many places in human history. So that's the first approach. That's the first approach to Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh, that Pharaoh regretted having sent them out. And that's what the verse is referring to. So hold on one second. I see that there's a question. Let me take the question.
Yeah.